All right, Shalom. Before I get started, I want to give all glory, honor, and praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruach Double honors to the apostles and elders at GMS. Peace, honor, respect to you, brothers that's out there laboring, edifying, rightly dividing the word and truth and sincerity. And Shalom to you believers out there. All right, the Akim Wa Akwa, the hopeful elect, which we all are. All right, and Lord willing, this be edifying. All right. What I want to go into right now is, a little bit of prophecy. Let me pull a couple of scriptures. I got a couple of videos and an article. And the first video is right here, as you can see from the Money GPS. It says the CBDC rollout plan is here, but it's worse than you thought. So I'm gonna play this video, and then I'm gonna read the article. Then I'm gonna play the other video and get some scriptures. All right, here we go.
Use a CBDC central bank. How would you like to use a CBDC central bank digital currency for all of your transactions? How would you like it if an institution was tracking all of those transactions? And what if that institution was a bunch of unelected technocrats that are above even your central bank? Well, I'm here to tell you why that's happening today. Welcome, truth seekers. You've landed in the right place. I want to bring you the information that others simply can't. So join this grassroots movement of nearly 300,000 people. Hit that subscribe and the notification beside it so that we can conquer this together. Speaking of which, what do you think of the IMF, the BIZ, and the UN? Well, I'm about to show you how they have been working with central bank digital currencies to implement them as fast as they possibly can. Let me show you. First thing, BIZ and the Bank of England complete a CBDC project. So look at it around the world. There are different phases to these CBDCs. Some are doing testing, some are in beta trials, some have gone back, nah, it didn't work. But I'm showing you right now this one example, and we could see that there's a institution like the BIZ, or it's the IMF or the UN and all these different things. They're at the center, and then around them are these other central banks. So we are going to go and give up our little bit of sovereignty we have left instead of to the central bank that we have, which shouldn't even exist to begin with. And then it's going even one layer further, where there's another institution that we have absolutely no say in dictating the policies that they have. Well, we're going to be giving them some level of control. How does that sound? Well, that's what's going on right here and now. A pilot project involving central bank digital currencies jointly run by the Bank of England and the Bank of International Settlements. Project Rosalind was designed to explore how a universal and extensible API layer could connect central bank and private sector infrastructures and enable retail CBDC payments. So that's part of this. That's what's going on. And by the way, the BIZ is doing this a lot. There are a bunch of, I think it's 4 or 5 different central banks that they are connecting, and they're trying to do some tests. And this is the beta trial, and they don't hide that, and they know what's happening. BOE a step closer to launching a digital pound after Project Rosalind study. Work with the BIZ found a range of new products CBDC could support. Treasury has yet to decide of whether they will back a digital currency. I'll tell you right now, your government, the Treasury, has absolutely no say in whether this happens or not. The central banks are going towards CBDCs. We know that already. And what they do behind the scenes, your government doesn't have control of that. If they're going and colluding with, I use that word intentionally, colluding with the BIZ, and they're doing this thing with the CBDC, your government doesn't have choice. And you might say, well, in the Constitution it says this, or no, we'll never vote for that. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because they're going to do it anyway.
So basically, what he's saying is coming from the top down, and everything, Lord willing, is going to tie into each other. When I go through these scriptures, basically just Revelation 13, and I'm going to match it up with Daniel, the 3rd chapter. All right. It's going to tie in together, because it don't matter what, the the banks, the commercial banks that you see every day on your street, like a Wells Fargo or Chase or whatever, it doesn't matter. They have bosses, all right, and really it all leads back to the Rothschilds, the international bankers. All right, the Rothschilds is at the head. All right, whatever they say is go. So it's going from the top down, which means us little people, we're. You either gonna get with it, you gonna get down or lay down. The Lord gotta be with you. All right. It said cause of all in Revelation 13. He calls of all. Why is that? Because it's coming from the top down. All right.
They're going to be different places where it's probably restricted at first. Oh, but you're in Florida. They're going to ban CBDCs. All right, sounds good. That's freedom, right? Oh, but you want to do business with New York? Oh, okay. Well, then you've got to have a CBDC. Or the government institutes some sort of policy you're transacting on a federal level or international level. Oh, you got to use the CBDC. That is the only way that you can get your money over here. Well, okay, fine. I'll use it just for that, but I'm not going to use it for this. They are going to squeeze everybody. Okay? They do with the Hunger Games. They shut down the city.
And that's the sentiments is coming from the top down. So they're going to eventually squeeze you. All right.
And the towns that exist, basically pack everybody into the mega cities. They make it super expensive. Everybody lives in these, shoe boxes, basically, and they're trying to get everybody to hurt. They're trying to get them to be at a point where they're struggling and suffering so that they need to reach out to the government. And the government's going to make them an offer. They can't refuse. Okay? And they're going to say, you know what? We've got this UBI, Universal Basic Income, and it's right here and available for you. You just got to sign up to the CBDC. And they'll tap their phone, and they get their, no problem, they get their $500 a month, their $1,000 a month, whatever the case is. That's what's going to happen. Okay. Samsung and Bank of Korea to launch a new digital CBDC. And there are many different companies. There are all this. Why? They have technology, they have programmers, they have these things. And so they can make this happen. They could use private institutions. They could do all government. Depends on the country, but we're seeing it all over the place. I'm just trying to give you a little bit of insight. Chinese city to pay government staff in CBDC. This is a place where there's 1 million people in the population. And so it's not a small place, okay? How many people in the government?
Sell products on Facebook and Instagram when you start your online store with Shopify, the e-commerce platform that's trusted by millions.
I believe it covers that. But anyway, the point is they're basically paying people already doing this. They've had beta tests. They're going through this. China is obviously trying to be the most advanced in it. They have the most control. That's really what it's all about. Central banks successfully test.
So that's basically all what I want, and that can segue me to the next video. Let's see, because China already kind of going in.
They're constantly monitored by facial recognition cameras that are able to instantly put a face to a name. Now, the Chinese are also ranked, given a mark out of a possible 950 points. A score in the 700s is considered good. Around the 500 mark is not. For now, the number is a sort of bank credit rating, keeping track of everyone's spending habits.
I think being ranked is a good thing. A society has to have rules.
It forces us to be well behaved.
It may seem scary, but it's just like that here. We're used to it. And anyway, we don't have a choice.
But in an effort to keep all of its subjects in line, Beijing is taking the system a step further in 2020. It's aggregating data gathered by banks, private companies, and the state to rate if someone's a good or bad citizen.
By using the most data possible, the so-called big data, the system will play an important role in rebuilding a moral society.
The state will go over every detail of a person's life with a fine-tooth comb. their financial situation, spending habits, career, even behavior on social media. Criticizing the government online or displaying outward signs of wealth is a no-no. On the other hand, praising the party or giving blood increases your social credit. Xiao Wen Wang is a model citizen. She lives in Nanjing, a testing ground for social ranking. Married with a child, she has a job in a retirement home, no debts, and she wouldn't dream of jaywalking.
As a good citizen, I respect the rules of the road. If I didn't, I'd lose points on my social credit.
In theory, everything can be taken into account in the social score, even the most innocuous errands like supermarket shopping. When Xiao Wen Wang makes an electronic payment, her purchases tell the state a lot about her. Buying cigarettes would count against her. On the other hand, nappies show she's an attentive mother. Beer could indicate alcoholism. She'd be better off buying water. In this pilot city of 8 million people, there are only 18,000 model citizens. For Xiao Wen Wang, there are perks to be had, such as paying half price for the bus.
I get discounts for all public services, even at museums. And the library is free for me, thanks to my score.
A good score brings benefits, but people with low scores lose rights. The cinema names and shames people considered untrustworthy, plastering their details, even their addresses, across big screens.
It's a matter of principle. Those people have to be condemned.
Those people aren't honest, so they have to pay the price.
You see, it's about control, and this is basically going to come here. China is first. Klaus Schwab was praising China for how they're leading the future with these type of with this CBDC or this social credit score, or how they go about their business. But you see how they display their address. And the thing I want you brothers and sisters to remember, is how some of the people said, hey, they must be condemned, because the same thing going to happen to the believers. All right. As far as them believing in the pure words, the scriptures in its purity, but just not conforming. When the MOTB is placed upon the believers, the ones who, been predestined, Lord willing, we be a part of that number, to not take it, we're going to be condemned. All right. Pushed out. Okay.
It's only right to pay your debts. You have to blacklist those that don't.
See?
The Supreme Court has created a blacklist for so-called bad citizens, those whose ratings have dropped to 0. On it are companies, but also 23 million people to date. Among them is this journalist Liu Hu. He got a little too close to uncovering corruption among high-profile party members. After being sued for defamation by the subject of a story he'd written, he was blacklisted. He only realized when he tried to buy a train ticket and was told he was banned from traveling.
That tells me I'm still on the blacklist.
Punished because he's been branded untrustworthy by the state.
Once you're blacklisted, you can no longer get a bank loan, start a business, buy an apartment, or even send your children to a private.
All right, Salaki, if I went off, you see this guy, he couldn't even travel to the next city, he can't get loans, he can't do certain things. And I want to read 2nd Esdras 15. All right, this is in the GNT version. All right, I want to start at verse 16. All right, it says, I'm starting here. It says, there will be great. Salaki, if I went off. I hope my computer is not going off. It says, there will be great political turmoil with one group trying to overpower another and gain control while ignoring the legitimate government. There will no longer be free access to the cities because the struggle for power will bring destruction, terror, and total confusion wherever people live. All right. And that's because when everything, you know, is implemented, you're going to have these different nations vying for who's going to be the power of this new world. All right. China, you're going to have Saudi Arabia, America. They're all going to be, you know, logic, trying to get the upper hand. All right. Meanwhile, you know, it's not going to be no access. And that's due to the citizens not bowing down. All right. So now that's all I want to know on those videos. Here. This is Zero Hedge. It says they want to implement a global system of digital identification for all. See, for all, keyword, Revelation 13, that would be connected to our bank accounts. It says not too far in the future, and tomorrow is I believe the beginning of Fair now. Okay, not too far in the future, all global citizens are, let me erase that, are required to possess proper digital ID, or else they will not be permitted to access the new global digital financial system. Central banks all over the globe have rolled out their new central bank CBDC. Okay. But in order to use those currencies, you must prove that you are who you say you are. And the only way to do that is with the new global system of digital ID that has been introduced. As cash is phased out, those that resist being part of the new global system, see, are increasingly pushed to the outer fringes of society, man. Hardly anyone is willing to employ them any longer. It has become virtually impossible for them to get loans, see, and they are looked down upon by much of the general population, just like in China. If you blacklisted, your address go up, you on the list, and then again, you're gonna have certain citizens that's gonna just be down with it. And then they gonna condemn you. The average everyday citizens like you. The government, they gonna do their condemning, but you're gonna have just the average Mo. Continuing on, and then after the vast majority of the global population has willingly signed up for the new global system of digital ID, it is announced that the system will now become mandatory. Yep. That means that anyone that does not submit will not be able to buy, sell, get a job, or have a bank account. What do this buy and sell? It reminds you of Revelation 13, 16 and 17. And remember when the C19 was really heavy, and they was trying to enforce those getting the jump shots. Well, you had the average citizen who got it. They was condemning the people who didn't have it. They were saying the people who didn't get it was the reason it was still around, and that would be the same thing. All right, let me see. So now let's go to the scriptures, because let me get this. All right, because with everything, Ecclesiastes 1 in verse 9, and I want to get this in the NLT. Ecclesiastes 1 and 9, it says, history merely repeats itself. It has been done, it has all been done before. Nothing new under the sun is truly new, which is true. There's nothing new under the sun. Sometimes people say, here is something new, but actually it is old. Nothing is ever truly new. Okay. And that's going to take me to and I do want to start out. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, I'll just stick here. Hold on. I don't know why it's taking so long. Salakia, hold on. Okay, here we go. What's wrong with okay, here we go. So in Revelation 13 and 16, it says what? It said, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. And that's what these videos and articles is going to metastasize to. Okay, it's going to be the CBDC, and it's coming from the top down. All right. So now what I really want to get was verse 15, because when you get in verse 15, it says, and he had power to give life into the image of the beast. Now, when you get into the image, that's really the this system. All right. The beast is referring to Babylon. All right. AKA America, Babylon the Great. That's the beast. But the image is the system. All right. Yeah. You know, you might say, well, that's in China, but America is the leader of this whole global way of doing things. All right. It's tested in China first, but eventually it will be in America. It's going to be global. It's not just going to be in China. It's going to be all over the whole world. But when you get into Revelation 13 and 15, the image is the system. All right. And that continuing on, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. All right. And I seen a brother go into the word killed right here. And we know being killed is being really put to death, which will be happening to certain brothers and sisters. Scripture tell you that. But what's the other kill? Destroy. When you go in down here and then you go to the root, which one was it? Was it this one? Let's see. Because I seen the brother get it earlier, which was good. And it says of separation, all right, of local separation, of separation of part of from the whole. And then when we got in the article, what did it say? It said that it said as cash is phased out, those that resist, all right, whoever don't what? Worship the image, okay, who resist being part of the new global system are increasingly pushed out to the outer fringes of society, which means what? They're going to be separated from, you know, where of a whole some part is taken, all right, physical of a distance place, you know. Brothers and sisters might have to go out in the wilderness because we're not going to be able to have jobs and things. Now, the Lord is going to provide his own, you know, certain brothers and sisters going, hey, it's depending on how the Lord do it, but we will be separated from this system. Okay. But remember, I kind of started out with that Ecclesiastes 1, where it said what? It's nothing new under the sun, right? So just like in ancient Babylon, all right, the same thing happening in modern Babylon, which is America, Babylon the Great. Now, when you go here, Daniel 3, starting at verse 1, it says, Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold, whose height was 80 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon. See, that's ancient Babylon. Now we in modern day Babylon, aka America. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent together the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Then the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together until the dedication of the image. See, that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up, and they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. All right, see, now this was a physical image, but you still gonna have the rulers stand before this image, meaning what? They're with this system. They implement the system coming from the top. Then an herald crowd aloud, to you it is commanded, O people, nations, and tongue and languages, all of the people, that at what time you hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, you fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. And whoso falleth not down and worship the image, worship, shall the same hour be cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. You see, and the same thing is happening today. All right, you have that image, okay, in Revelation. In Revelation 13, it's talking about what? Okay, whoso don't worship the image. Hold on, let me get in another one. Just bear with me 1 second. Because it's some things I want to make a point about. So in verse 15, it says, what? That the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Right. And the same thing was in ancient Babylon. Okay. It said what? The herald cried out. Okay, what? That when you hear this music, you should fall down and worship the image that Nebuchadnezzar king has set up, and whoso falleth not down and worship shall the same hour be cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. All right. And one thing I wanted you brothers and sisters to pay attention to, and this is just in the spirit. You notice Nebuchadnezzar, right? The king, he was the real ruler, right? But what did he do? He first called who? The princes, all right, the governors, the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces, all right? And that's exactly what happened. When you go to the top of the food chain, you have the Rothschilds, all right, the international bankers. And first, what they're going to do, they're going to tell your presidents, your prime ministers, your governors, the actual sheriffs, your police chiefs, the generals of the army, all right? They're going to call them first, all right? Because they're the rulers. They're the people that's in the forefront to come to the image. Okay, you got to be down with the image first. Then it said what? A herald cried out loud. You got to think, when everything go down, your presidents and all of those people, what they're going to do, your prime ministers, they're going to get on TV and they're going to let you know what's mandatory. Okay. It said then a herald cried aloud, and then it's going to be herald through TV, through the internet. You might go on YouTube and watch some type of alternative news. You might even turn on the news or TV, and you're going to hear that command. You're going to hear that command. And it's going to command what? All the people, the nations and languages. It's going to go out to the world in every language, just in the spirit, just like in old Babylon. The same thing's going to happen in New Babylon. The new Nebuchadnezzar would be, these Edomites. It would be basically the Rothschilds. All right, they're the real kings of the earth. All of the families that's certain families that's aligned with them and under them, but they're going to call who? The princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, and you notice the treasurers. And what do it say in Revelation 13? You notice that it said what? And that no man might buy or sell, because when you trying to enforce something, you got to mess with people's money. That's one way to get them to submit. Okay, if they can't, you can't work. What was they doing with the jump shop? They were saying if you ain't got it, you can't work. You can't get in here. You can't go there. You can't buy a plane ticket. All right, just like with that China system, that social credit store in China. You blacklisted, you done. All right. But it started with the money. That's why the treasurers was even called. Okay. Then you have who? You have the sheriffs. That would be your police, your military, on down to the police, actual sheriffs. See, all of them was called. All of the rulers of these cities, provinces, countries, they're going to be called to come to that image first. That's why my man in the video, he said it doesn't even matter. Why? Because this thing is coming from the top down. And I just noticed that in the spirit. All right. Nothing new is under the sun. Now, one thing I want to point out as well before I close out is when I went into the Bible Hub on Daniel 3 and 6, right? Now, check this out, because you know in the video, you had those people saying they need to be condemned, that the people who was blacklisted, you notice how you actually had people down with that system. Now, check this out. Now, Daniel 3 and 6, it said that, and whoso falleth not down in worship shall the same hour be cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. All right, and you heard that lady and that guy saying, you know, they need to, basically those people again who are blacklisted, they deserve it. All right, they're down with the system, just like you're gonna have people that's gonna be down with getting the MOTB, and you're gonna have people that get the MOTB that's gonna condemn people that don't have the MOTB. Just like people took the jump shot and they condemn people who didn't have a jump shot. Now check this out on Daniel 3 and 6 in the commentary. It says, now this was the script, and whoso falleth not down in worship. All right, it says the order in this verse seems to be tyrannical, and it is contrary to all our notions of freedom of religious opinion or in worship. But it was much in the spirit of that age, and indeed of almost every age. See, nothing new under the sun. Ecclesiastes 1, 9 and 10. See, there's nothing new under the sun. Indeed, and indeed of almost every age. It was an act to enforce uniformity. All right, that means coming together. Just like Antiochus, what he say? He wanted everybody to be basically pagans. All right. It enforced uniformity in religion by the authority of the civil magistrate. All right. And to secure it by threatened penalties. See, you can get blacklisted on that social credit score. If you don't get the MOTB, you can be put to death. All right. These are some of the penalties. You don't take the MOTB, you're not going to have a job. You're not going to work. You're not going to be able to eat. You're not going to be able to buy, sell. All right. If in Babylon, if you heard the music and you didn't fall down, you get thrown in the fire, in the furnace. All right. So it says, and to secure by threatening penalties. But check this out. It should be observed, however, that the command at the time, see that command, would not be regarded as harsh and oppressive by pagan worshipers. Right. So all the people that's down with the social credit system, they condemn the people because it's not oppressive to them. Okay. It's not harsh to them. Everybody that get the MOTB, it's not going to be harsh or oppressive to them. In fact, you're going to have people that's like, oh, it's convenient. I ain't got to carry a wallet or my keys. I love it. You know, I get to just swipe my arm and boom, you know, and it might be complied with consistently with their views without infringing on the notion of religious liberty. See? So I just found this interesting that this was in the Bible commentary about, you know, a lot of people that heard the music, they just fell right down. They was with it. And they probably condemned. They probably was telling, hey, look, he didn't fall down, just like they did. They told about who? Cedric, Meshach, and Abednego, that they didn't fall down. So you actually have people condemning, just like in that video of the social credit score system. All right. And again, that's why I got Ecclesiastes 1 and 9 and 10. There's nothing new under the sun. All right. You can say it's new, but it's not really new, because this happened in ancient Babylon. And now it's going to happen again in modern Babylon. All right. So I just wanted to bring this out. All right. Lord willing, it was edifying. To the next lesson. Shalom.